Before we actually start the meeting, I will read out the following announcement. I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet or filmed and will be capable of repeated viewing and other use by such third parties. And please could I also remind members of the public who have registered to speak that they will be admitted to the meeting at the appropriate time. Please also be aware that if any technical difficulties interrupt the meeting that cannot be overcome, I may need to adjourn the meeting. Can I go to apologies for absence?
There are no apologies for absence.
And any declarations of interest? None. On the item 5 on the agenda is the procedure for the conduct of business. They're set out within the agenda, but there are I will run through the order in which the meeting will be carried out. I will be introducing and ask each of the people present to introduce themselves and identify themselves. The lead officer from licensing will outline the matter in hand, and then the applicant or representative will present his or her case with or without witnesses. Will then be able to be questioned by members and by any objectors making representation who are present, although I don't believe that is the case this morning. And again, if we with no objectors present, then we will just take their representation as read, and the applicant will then have the opportunity to make a final statement. And the committee will go into private session by putting all the participants into the Zoom waiting room, while the members who've heard the application will discuss the merits or otherwise of the application. So if I could just first of all introduce myself as chairman of this committee this morning, Councillor Mary Sartin. We have Councillor Louise Moss and Councillor Paul Stalker who will be hearing the application, and Councillor John Whitehouse is present as a fourth member of the committee but will not be participating in the application and the discussion. From officers, we've got Laura Kerman, who is the Democratic Services Officer, and Mrs. Handan Ibrahim, who is our Licensing Officer. Also from Licensing, Denise Bastick, who is observing the meeting. From our Legal Department, we have Graham Oakley and also Lee Cole, who will be observing the meeting this morning, but Graham will be participating in it, giving any advice that we need on legal matters. And then we move now to the applicants. If you could identify yourself and just state your name so that we know that we can hear you and you are present.
So I'm Neil Darter, representing New Breed Bottle Shop Director.
Thank you.
And I'm Michael O'Kane, who is a business partner with Neil.
Thank you very much. And can I just confirm that we have nobody present who had presented an objection?
No, nobody's appeared in the waiting room either.
Thank you very much. So if I can then go to our licensing officer to outline the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. We're here today for an application which has been made by New Breed Bottle Shop Limited for a new premises licence at 287 High Road, Loughton, Essex, IG10 1AH. The application is for a specialist off licence with a local and UK focus on independent produce of craft beer, wine and spirits. They propose to sell bottles, cans and have 6 to 8 draft lines for beer and wine. As well as traditional off-sale, they propose to offer the opportunity for customers to sample products in store and refill. The main revenue stream is to serve products to be consumed off-site and not as a bar, although they will provide a small seating area for customers to consume on site. The applicant is asking for the following licensable activities: supply of alcohol both on and off the premises, Monday to Saturday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. The provision of recorded music, Monday to Saturday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m, Sunday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. and the premises will be open to the public Monday to Saturday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. The application was received on the 29th of September. With regards to consultation, all responsible authorities have received a copy of the application. It was also advertised in a local newspaper. All residents and businesses within a 150-metre radius of the premises were individually consulted. The authority has received one representation from a local resident, which has been attached to the agenda. We have also received responses from the police, Essex Fire Services, Environmental Enforcement, who have no objections. With regards to the objection that was received, this relates to the prevention of public nuisance. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And now if I can go to the applicants, if you would like to present your case. I'm not sure whether you're both going to speak or one or other of you.
I'll speak, and if Michael has anything to add, then I'll call on him to do so. If that's okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So as the application states, so New Breed Bottle Shop, we are a specialist independent beverage retailer, so bringing artisan craft wines, beers and spirits from niche producers and growers to the market. Our ethos is really quality over quantity, supporting local suppliers and businesses where we can, and hopefully injecting something fresh and new into Loughton High Road, as well as ultimately bringing employment to the area. I mean, with regard specifically to the two representation points, I'd like to just add some clarity. So the first point was the provision of recorded music, where the resident had said that it should be just played inside the store, and that's exactly what it will be. It will be played as background music inside the store, not audible to anyone around the store. Because I mean, to be honest, that will when we're trying to showcase these high-end products that aren't available anywhere on a physical space on the high road and offer one-to-one service, blaring out music wouldn't really help our case or our business model. And in terms of the other objection that the resident raised, I mean, on paper, look, we understand the concerns in terms of on paper it looks like we're running a bar and a pub, but it is neither. We need to allow our customers to sample and try the products in store, because it's going to be a considered purchase. It's high-end product, it's high-price product, and it's something new, which isn't being offered on the high road at the moment. And we need to be able to advise those customers, because they are making a considered purchase. I mean, I think the clearest intention we can show that we're not a pub or a bar are the hours that we're looking to trade. I mean, we're closing at 8 o'clock Monday to Saturday, and 5 o'clock on a Sunday. So, I mean, that doesn't work as a model for a bar or a pub. I don't know if you've got anything to add, Michael.
So not a huge amount to add to that, really, other than to sort of labour and stress the points that, you know, we understand the concern of the gentleman that pushed back, but, you know, this will never be a bar. It's not something Neil and I have ever envisaged wanting to run a bar. It's something that the products that we're taking to market, I would say it's quite new for this area. You can only get it in certain parts of London right now, but there are lots of people that want access to this type of product and the type of specialism that Neil and I can bring. I would never ask anybody to come into this type of shop and make the type of purchases, which an average price, for example, a can of beer would be pushing upwards of £7, which is a huge amount of money to pay for a beer. And you would expect to be able to at least sample some of our products, so we can guide you to whatever beer or wine that your palate that you prefer, you know. So it just wouldn't work if we didn't have that option to offer a tasting or sampling before people make what could be quite expensive purchases for them. So that's really all I wanted to add to Neil's point. Other than perhaps, you know, another thing for the area would be we feel that, you know, a lot, the high street has gone through turmoil over the last year. I think it's pretty obvious what the reasons behind that. Because there are a lot of restaurants in the area, there are a lot of takeaway specialist businesses. There's a Caribbean place across the road which opened right at the start of the COVID lockdown situation. You know, we're keen to get involved in the community to try and partner up with a lot of these businesses that have struggled through a difficult 12-month period, and see if we can offer, you know, discounts, collaborations with them, see if we can help to promote their businesses from our shop as well, and really be involved in that community. Because Neil and I are actually both based in Loughton, know a lot of the people in the community themselves, know some of the troubles of the local shop owners, and you know, I think that's just something I wanted to add, that we bring that to the high street as well, is a knowledge of the local area and a passion to try and help the people out that would be around us on the high street. So that's really all I want to add, unless you guys have any specific questions for me.
Thank you very much for that. If I can go to Louise and Paul, have either of you got any questions that you wish to ask?
No, Chair, I've got no questions. My only observation is that I can understand residents, when that blue notice goes in the window and talks about on sales, I can understand people thinking it's going to be a bar, but it's clearly not. But I can understand why people might be concerned. But I think, in my view, the applicants have allayed those concerns.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Mead?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, so when you say there's tasting, does that mean there's like a bar area or tables or anything? How would you do that?
So there will be a counter where people can taste, but we have when people are allowed to come and consume on site, there will be a small seating area in the windows. Just a bench seating, so it won't fit a lot of people, but people will be able to consume a product on site prior to buying.
If I can just kind of add to that, so there isn't a bar as such. So although there are taps, the taps are in the corner of the unit, and there are sampling there'll be a chance to use sample glasses, so not full measures, but if somebody did want to have maybe a 3/4 pint to really see if they like that, we have to offer them a chance to actually sit down, and I think the maximum we could ever have in the seating area would be about 10 people anyway.
Thank you. Anything else, Councillor Mead? No. Thank you. Sorry, I can't see everybody on screen, so I'm not sure whether you're indicating or not.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Graham.
just on the points that have been raised in the objection and what has been said, it is possible for you to include in your decision, if you are minded to grant the application, a particular note that the consumption of alcohol on the premises should be for product tasting only and not as a bar or public house. And you could include in your decision that for the prevention of public nuisance, the sound of any recorded music should not be audible from outside the premises. They are some options that you might wish to consider, which I'm giving in open session for the applicants to know. One other thing is that at the previous meeting, although these matters are dealt with on their own merit, at the previous meeting on another premises, members were concerned about the CCTV recordings being retained for inspection for a minimum of 28 days. The police usually ask for that. They haven't in this case, but that's something you may wish to consider in private session if you're minded to grant the application. And you might want to seek the views of the applicants with regards to that, because there's no mention in their application of how long CCTV recordings are being retained.
Thank you for that. Before I come to those points, can I just ask a couple of questions of the applicants myself? You're talking about it as being a sampling and tasting. Is it your intention to charge for samples, or will they literally be free samples?
We will need to charge for samples, because essentially our suppliers aren't going to they're selling it to me as stock. So if I was to give away I'm giving away product then, to be honest. So people will be charged for sampling. So from the draft lines, we may be able to give like a small measure for someone to taste before refilling or taking a fill container away. But if someone wants to try a can of craft ale, then that'll need to be sold to them, because otherwise I'm just going to be giving away margin.
May I just add to that as well, please? So I think also that we will have some opportunities to sample things, such there will be certain wines where we do have samples readily available, of course. I think actually we can offer samples from the taps for people to take away, but a point that we haven't really laboured on, which we just need to get across, is those taps are used because we have an on-site canning machine, so we can can things up directly from the taps, and we have something called growlers, which are essentially refillable glass containers that people can bring into the store and fill up regularly and take away. And just on the point in terms of tasting and sampling, a lot of the beers we have are going to be in cans, because that's the best way to store high product beer is in a can. We can't obviously just open a can that's retailing at 10-12 pounds and you just pour a little bit of that for somebody to taste, because they may not like it. The business model would just completely collapse. So it's absolutely crucial to the business to be able to have that tasting option, but we have to charge people for it, unless there are going to be some cases where we can offer samples that isn't going to impact the business model, I guess. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for that. And another question around perhaps the same thing: is it your intention at any point to run tasting events that would be chargeable events?
I think it's definitely something we can look at. Some of the wine suppliers that we've spoken to are keen to come in and do certain events, so they could talk through the wines, talk about what the food pairings are. So I think there's definitely the opportunity to offer that sort of thing to the community. And again, it's something that's not available at the moment. So yes, I definitely wouldn't rule that out in terms of something that could work, and something that's new and fresh and new for the high road.
And to add to that as well, and we know a number of people in the local community that are business owners, and they see this as a good opportunity to do samplings with their office, or to do it as an event, to actually come and sample different wines, organic, natural wines that aren't currently being sold in the area, to taste some of the best beers in the world, and to be done in the right way. It is a come and taste with an option to perhaps take away, and I think it is definitely something that we will do once we get the shop hopefully open. Okay.
Thank you for that. The two comments from Mr. Oakley were around the CCTV being retained for 28 days, which is actually a fairly standard condition that I think probably the majority, if not all, of our license applications have included in it. You're happy with that?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we want to be as secure as possible.
If that's a standard, yeah. If that's a standard, then yeah, we're happy to go along with that.
No, it is, and it's the expectation that the police particularly see that as being one of the conditions to include. And obviously the recorded music itself is not a licensable activity, so it doesn't actually form part of this, but it still perhaps is just perhaps a note that we might put on it regarding keeping windows and doors closed if there are a large number of people inside with music. But that's something we will discuss in our consideration. Members, either of you got any other questions?
Not for me, no. Thanks.
No, thank you, Chair.
And officers, anything else that you wish to add? No, thank you. So the applicants, you do have the opportunity to make a final statement if you wish to do so. You have got that option.
I mean, I think we've pretty much covered everything that we want to. I mean, like I say, we're ultimately about trying to change I mean, it's a big mission, but trying to change the face of alcohol retail in the area and any subsequent area that we open. It's something that it's a big growth market in London. There's been an exponential growth of bottle shops within London, and we think that there's an opportunity here to offer the local community the sort of high end products that are around in an environment that's something that can help the high road and help local businesses and yeah, no, sorry.
To just add to that again, if I may, we want to labour and stress the point. This is not a bar. It never will be a bar, although that we have to have the option to consume alcohol on the premises. Otherwise, the business model falls over and does not work. We are committed to employing people in the local area. We have a business plan that is a very rigid business plan where we can open another store, hopefully in 12 months' time. We would look to do that within the Epping area. So Epping is a place where ideally we would like to do something on that high street too. One thing I haven't mentioned as well is we have an online presence. Neil is a retail specialist and an e-commerce specialist. I have come from a business background myself, okay. And we really will have an online presence which will be run from here in Loughton, which will create jobs for local people, from delivery drivers to people working within our warehouse to people actually running the shops and stores for us. So it is something that I think will hugely benefit the community in terms of employment opportunities as we progress over the years. But also we're two local people with family and children that go to school in the local areas. We have a vested interest in making sure that the high street remains a high quality high street. And the concerns that have been brought up by the gentleman, we completely understand those concerns. As on paper, I understand why he may feel it may turn into a bar, because the high street may have had a few issues over the years with bars being out in the area. This is not a bar. We are committed to doing what we have put on the paper. But if we don't get what we ask for, then the business model doesn't work. And I feel that's basically all I would like to say. Okay.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So at this point, if I can ask Laura to put into the waiting room all those who are not participating in the actual discussion, and those that should be participating, as I understand it, are myself, Councillor Mead, Councillor Stalker, Mr. Oakley to be present, and Laura yourself to be present.
Okay. Do you want the observers out? Or can the observers?
Yes, the observers shouldn't be part of the discussion. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, and I've now got to read out what is the formal notice decision sheet. So this was a premises address for New Breed Bottle Shop at 287 High Street, Loughton. We consider that the application satisfies the necessary requirements as it is on the prescribed form. It has been advertised and relevant notification given. We are grateful to the parties for their presentation to us this morning. We have taken these and the written material submitted to us into account. We have considered what is appropriate to promote the 4 licensing objectives and the relevant parts of the Council's licensing policy and the Home Office's guidance. During our deliberation in private session, our advisory officer gave us no further advice. The decision of the subcommittee is that the application for a premises licence in respect of this premises be granted subject to A, the conditions and operating schedule as submitted by the applicant dated the 21st of September 2020, received by Epping Forest District Council on the 26th of September 2020, with particular note that the consumption of alcohol on the premises shall be for product sampling only and not as a bar or public house. B, for the prevention of crime and disorder, all CCTV recordings shall be retained for inspection for a minimum of 28 days. And C, for the prevention of public nuisance, the sound of any recorded music shall not be audible from outside the premises. Which we consider that these conditions are reasonable and proportionate and will not undermine the licensing objectives. We also attach the mandatory conditions contained in sections 19 to 21 of the Licensing Act 2003. The applicants and of the objector are reminded of their right to appeal to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days of the written notification of this decision. And this decision will be signed by myself and is dated the 12th of November 2020. And I would just add that as with all licensing applications and licensed premises, they are all open to review if a request is put forward by relevant bodies or persons. Thank you very much for your attendance today on this.
Madam Chairman, can I just clarify one thing? When you read out the decision, you said that the application was received by Epping Forest District Council on 26th of September.
Sorry.
The decision sheet says 29th of September.
29th, I don't know where that came from, but okay, I will correct that on the 29th of September 2020. Thank you. So that concludes item 6 on our agenda. We do have an item 7 on the agenda, which was a temporary event notice. However, that temporary event notice was not received, so that item is not being heard this morning. Item 8, exclusion of public and press. We have no reason to exclude public and press. So I therefore close the meeting and thank you all for your attendance at 10:40 a.m. So thank you very much.
Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.